So the first question is a fill in the blanks. So this one you need to fill in the blanks with the appropriate answer, right? So it says that the process of selecting a group of people within a population is known as, okay, the process of selecting a group of people within a population. So that means you are taking partial members of the population. So this is the process. You are looking at the process. So this is what we call as sampling. Okay. So this is what we call as sampling. Let me just make it bigger. Okay, this one will be sampling. Okay, sampling process is a process by selecting a group of people within a population. Okay. We'll just check. So sometimes they give you a different answer. Okay, so you have sampling. And then the second one, a sampling frame is not needed in what kind of sampling? Okay, so mostly whenever you are doing a probability sampling, you need a sampling frame. Sometimes the sampling frame can be in the form of the list of all the elements, or sometimes maybe it's the list of the cluster. Okay, remember, even though in cluster sampling you don't have the list of all of the element, but you have the list of the clusters. So that is the sampling frame for cluster sampling. So the only thing that you don't need a sampling frame will be the non-probability sampling. So in this case, this will be non-probability sampling. Okay, a non-probability sampling do not require any sampling frame. Okay, the third one, A blank is a sample drawn in such a way that each member of the population has same chance of being selected. So the keywords here is each member has the same chance of being selected. So that is the keywords. So this is the keywords for a simple random sampling. Okay, SRS. Okay, for simple random sampling. Okay, the fourth one, the purpose of a blank is to predict the cost, time, and workforce needed for the survey. So this is the process done prior to a survey, an actual survey, in which they ask you to do something in order to determine how much will it cost, what are the time frame that you need, so how many people that you need in order to perform the survey and so on. So basically all these things can be obtained during a pilot study. So in this case, so this will be the purpose of a pilot study. Okay, during the pilot study, we try to predict, we try to determine if there exists any problem or not. You are trying to determine, to predict the cost, the time, the workforce, how many people that you need, do you need manpower or not, and so on. Okay, so that is done during the pilot study. Okay, the study of the entire population. So study the entire population is called census. Okay, it's called census ataupun banci lah kat sini. So let me just write this correctly. Tulisan tak apa nak cantik pula. Okay, census. Okay, right. So that is the answer for question number 1. Okay, the study of entire population is called a census. And then for the second question, they will give you a scenario or a situation where you need to answer some questions related to the situation provided. Okay, so let's see what is the situation here. It says here, The Ministry of Education wants to survey the university students' intention of becoming a teacher when they graduate. The study will be administered at ABC University, where 2,500 students were enrolled. Okay, that is the population. Were enrolled in various science majors. So you have various science majors. So that means you there is an intention of making a subgroup from here. All right. So 18%. So this is the grouping. Okay, 18% of the students are majoring in geology, while 34% are majoring in biology. Both physics and chemistry majors are 24%. A random sample of 1,000 students will be selected for the study. Okay, so let me just highlight some of the important information from this statement. Okay, the first thing that I want to highlight is the survey. So the survey is about what? So in this case, the survey is about students in students intention. There's no. Let me just give you. On. Okay, students intention. Sorry, not that one. I want this one. Okay, students intention. Okay, so that is the first one. And then the next thing that I want to see is the 2,500 students were enrolled. And then we have 18% are geology, 34% biology, and then both physics and chemistry, 24%. And then lastly, we have a random sample of 100 students. So that are some of the important keywords or some of the important statements in the question. So the first question asks you to state the objective of the study. So the objective of the study here is to survey the students' intention of becoming a teacher when they graduate. Okay, so that is the objective of this study. So in this case, the objective of this study is to identify how many of them are going to be a teacher when they graduate. So that is basically the objective. So you can just say to survey or to determine the number of students intention or to determine the percentage number of students intention of becoming a teacher when they graduated, right? And then state the population of the population and the sampling frame of the study. So the population here, this one is being done in ABC University, and that comprise of 2,000. That consists of 2,500 students, right? So that means the population will be all of these students. So you can say all 2,500 students enroll at ABC University. Okay. Okay, or you can be more specific. You can say all 2,500 science major students. Okay, you can have science major students over here to be more specific. Okay, science major students enroll at the university, ABC University. And then the second part asks you to find the sampling frame. Okay, what you need to do in order to come up with a sampling frame, you just need to add, you just need to add the terms list of all. Okay, so to write down the sampling frame, you just need to state list of all 2,500 science major students enrolled at ABC University. So that means you just add the words list of all in front of the answer for your population. Okay, so that is for the sampling frame. And then for the third one, they ask you to state the variable. So just state the variable and type of the variable in this study. So there are two things that you need to give an answer here. So one is the variable, just state the variable, and then what is its type. So in this case, the variable is the information that you want to extract or you want to gather from the respondent. So the respondent will be the students, right? So in this case, the variable will be the student's intention. Okay, so that will be the variable. So in this case, the student's intention. Okay, and what type of variable? So in this case, it will be in the form of whether do they want to be a graduate, a teacher or no. Okay, so yes or no. So this is a nominal. Okay, whether they are going to be a teacher or not. So the type of variable will be, so you are looking at the type, right? So the type, you have only two types. So whether it is the qualitative or quantitative. So remember the qualitative in the form of categorical or classification, and quantitative is in the form of numerical numbers. But in these situations, the answer that you get or the response that you get from the students regarding their intention is simply either yes or no. That is a classification. So that means this is going to be a qualitative. Okay, qualitative variables. Okay, so it will be a qualitative variables. Okay, the next one is what is the most appropriate sampling methods can be used in this study. Okay, so how do you determine sampling method? So first of all, you look at the words random sample. So when you talk about the words random sample, in our syllabus, in our course, we only discuss 5 techniques, okay, for a random sample. That is simple random sampling, systematic sampling, stratified sampling, cluster sampling, and multistage sampling. Okay, how do you determine which methods that which technique is the best one? Okay, so first of all, you ask yourself, is there any grouping involved in the population? So in this situation, there exist groups where the group is divided into the science major, that is geology, biology, physics, and chemistry. Okay, so that means there exist groups under the population. So when there exist group under the population, you cannot answer simple random sampling or systematic sampling, because systematic sampling and simple random sampling can only be applied when there exist no groups. But here you have grouping, so that means your answer gonna be either cluster, stratified, or multi-stage. Okay. For this situation, you can take out the multi-stage. Why? Because in order to use multi-stage, you need a second level of grouping. So that means you first group into certain classification, and then under that particular classification, you reduce or you extract more groups. Okay, so in this case, maybe if I want to use multi-stage, maybe in the form of first I divide into the science major, geology, biology, physics, chemistry, and so on. And then I divide each of these science major into their year of study, maybe year 1, year 2, year 3, year 4. Okay, so there exists 2 level of grouping. So when this happens, then you're gonna say that you are using multistage, right? But in this situation, that is not occurring. So that means you only have two options, whether it is stratified or cluster. So the most appropriate methods here will be stratified. The reason is that because you want each of the subgroup or each of the group has its representative in the sample. Okay, when you want each of the group have representative in the sample, then it's gonna be stratified. So in this case, the answer will be stratified sampling. Okay, stratified sampling. Okay, and then number 5, briefly explain how the sample will be selected using techniques suggested in 4. So you have answered stratified sampling. So in this situation, you need to calculate the number of sample that you required from each of the measures. Okay, so in order to calculate the number of sample from each of the measures, you need to use the proportionate values, right? So according to the size of the groups. So for example, in this case, you have 18% of the students majoring in geology. So that means 80% out of 2,500 is actually major in is actually doing geology, right? So you have to calculate 80% of 2,500 is how much. Okay, so I just give you the answer by calculating. So in order to find the number of sample required in each of the group, it will be N1. So this is for group 1, for example. Let's say it will be the number of groups, okay, the number of population in that particular group. So that means maybe this one will be small capital letter N1 divided by the total number of sample, that is 2,500, and then multiply with the number of sample required, that is capital letter, small letter N. Okay, so the N1 will be the number of population in the subpopulation, or the number of element in each of the subpopulation, right? So in this case, if you take 18% out of 25,000, so you get 450, right? Okay, you get 450 by right. You don't have to do this actually, because you already have in the form of percentage, right? So what you can just do is simply multiply the 18% with the random sample 1000. Okay, so 0.18, or you can just use this one. Okay, you can just use this one if you want to use this one. 450 divided by 2500 and then multiply with 1000. So in this case, you're gonna get the answer. Okay, 180. So you're gonna get, for the first one, out of the 450 students, you're gonna sample 180 students. Okay, and you do this for all the groups. Okay, let me just give you the complete answer over here. Okay, so this is the how you determine the sample size for each of the groups. Okay, you can see here it has two methods. Okay, so either you can just straight away calculate the 0.18 times 1000, you will get the same answer. Okay, so in this case, you have firstly students are grouped according to their measures, then calculate the sample size for each department. So that is the starting. So you calculate the size for each department. So in this case, they calculate the size for each department first, and then using the formula N1 divided, sorry, not N1. sorry about that. Okay, is you're using the formula n1 divided by n multiply with small letter n. Okay, right? So you get 450 divided by 2,500 times 1,000, you get 180. Or you can just straight, because this is already in the form of percentage, you can just straight away using 0.18, you multiply with 1,000 equal to 180. Similarly, this one is 0.34 times 1,000, so you get to be 340. And the fourth one is 0.24 times 1,000, so you get this to be 240. And lastly, 0.24 times 1,000 is equal to 240. Okay, so once, okay, this is the first step. First step, you divide the population into subgroup. The second step, you calculate the sample size from each subgroup. And then the third one, you apply simple random sampling or systematic sampling to choose the sample calculated in step 2. Okay, so that is basically how you calculate or how you perform stratified sampling. Okay, so that is the answer for that one. And then for the last question, they ask you to determine the method of data collection that can be used in this study. So you can just give any data collection method that is appropriate and just give one example. One advantage. So in this case, you can use face-to-face interview, or maybe you can just use, if since this one is in 2013, so we don't have all the, during this time we don't have all the apps, everything and so on, right? So if this question is being asked now, maybe there are other options that you can use. Not only you can use the face-to-face interview, maybe right now you can just, because everybody has telephone, you can also use online survey, okay, which is easier, where you have the university has the number of each of the students, and then they can just blast the message for them to just answer yes or no. Okay, so it depends. So this one is in 2030. We don't have all the Android apps, everything yet, right? So this is the situation. Okay, so that is for the second question. So let's move to the next one. Okay, the next one is questions related to chapter 2, that is data presentation. Okay, presenting the data. Okay, presenting the data in either a graphical way or in table form. All right. So this is a survey of teenagers' favorite holiday activities was conducted. The result of the survey are shown below. Okay, in this situation, whenever you want to draw a graphical display representing the data given, make sure that you read the instruction correctly. So here they ask you to draw a component bar chart. Okay, component bar chart. Okay, component bar chart, or the other name here, we call this also stack bar chart. Okay, stack bar chart, which is you are stacking one on top of the other. Okay, and then provide any information explanation. So you can just give any explanation, just a simple explanation. Okay, you don't need to give a long explanation because it's only 1 mark. Okay, so you can draw this one. So I've done this with using Excel. So it's supposed to be something looking like this. Okay. Okay, so you have two options whether you want to draw it according based on the gender type. Okay, based on gender type or based on the activities. Okay, So if you are based on the activities, this will be the case. So you have activities for play sport, play games, visit friends, earn money, chat online, and watch TV. And then you have the category male and female. Okay, remember, whenever you do the stack bar chart, okay, one of the common mistake done by students are that they not stacking, but they overlapping. So that is wrong. What I say is overlapping. Instead of doing like this, for the first one, let's say for the first one, you have play sport male, we have 35. So suppose that you have 35 over here. So you draw male 35. So this is for male, you see, right? And then you're supposed to add 15 on top of the male. So it will be 50, something like this, right? So it will be looking something like this. So the difference here is actually 15. But the most mistake done by students when they deal with stack bar chart or component bar chart is that instead of stacking on top of the previous bar, what they did is they overlap them. So instead of having 15 on top, they have 15 over here. So they write down 15. So this is the wrong one. So this is wrong. Okay. So this is the correct one. All right. So be careful when you deal with stack bar chart. This is the most common mistake done by students. Okay. Instead of stacking, they are overlapping. So you have to remember when you talk about component bar chart, you are stacking one on top the other. So that means if you look through here, if you're going row wise, so the total here 35 and 15, this one is 50, right? So 39 and 20, you get 59. 25 and 35, you get 60. This one you get 60, and then you get 57, and then total this you get 40, 54. Okay, so make sure that your height of both graph will be the same as in this column. For example, the first one is 50, so you have 50. Second one is 59, and then 60, 60, 57, and 54. Okay, so this will be your component bar chart, and just give some explanation on the graph itself. Okay, so that's it for the graphical display. Okay, so the next thing, question number 2 will deal with chapter 3 in your textbook, that is descriptive analysis. So the first one here, this is, okay, the first one will be the ungrouped data set, and then the second one will be the group data set. Okay, so let's look at the first one. So it says here the weekly pocket expenses in RM of 20 students in class 4A are as follow. So you have 25, 45, 31, 20, 26, and so on. And then they ask you to construct a stem and leaf plot. Okay, how to construct a stem and leaf plot. Okay, so what you need to do right now is to identify the lowest and the highest. So in this case, the lowest here is 20. Okay, and then the highest that you have will be 49, I guess. Okay, 49. So that means your range is between 20 through 49. So since this is a 2-digit number, you can just separate the two numbers in the middle. So that means 2, 2, 4, and 9. So what you can have here will be 2, 3, and 4. So this will be the stem. Okay, and then to write down the leaf, go one by one. So 2, 5, so you write down 5. And then 4, 5, so here you have 5. And then you have 31, 1, 20, 0, 26, 6, 23, 3, 26, 6 over here, and then 39, 33, 41, and then you have 40, and then you have 36, and then you have 35, and then you have 49, and then you have 37, okay, and then 34, 43, 35, 43, and then lastly 40. So that is your stem and leaf display. So before you finish up everything, so you need to remember for the stem and leaf display, the leaf on the right, this part, you need to rearrange in order, okay, from smallest to highest. So the final one you get will be 2, 3, 4. So for the leaf gonna be 0, 3, 5, 6, 6. So 0, 3, 5, 6, 6. And then for this one you have 1, 3, 4. Here 1, 3, 4, 5, 5, 6, 7, 9. So 5, 5, 6, 7, 9. And then for the last one you have 0, 2, 0, and then 1, 2, 3, and then you have 5, 9. Okay, so this is your stem and leaf display for the 2 marks for this one. Okay, right, so that is your stem and leaf display. And then the second one asks you to construct a frequency and cumulative frequency distribution table having the same class width starting with 20 and less than 25. So they want 20 and then less than 25. So that means from here, you need to come up with a frequency table. So I will write on the right side over here. So you start with 20 and less than 25. So this will be your frequency table. So you start with 20 and less than 25, and then 25 and less than 30, and then 35, sorry, 30 and less than 35, and finally 35 until less than 40, 40 until less than 45, and then whatever 45, anything greater than or equal to 45. Okay, how to determine the number of sample? So 20 and less than 25, so 5 is not included, so you have 2 over here. And then you have 3, and then 3. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, so you have 5. 40 to 45, 0, 0, 1, 3, 3, you have 5. And then 2. So this will be your frequency. Okay, based on this frequency, you will come up with the histogram and also the cumulative frequency. To find the cumulative frequency, you need the cumulative value. So this one will be 2, 5, 8, and then 13, 18, 20. Okay, so how to draw this? Using the lower band value, that is 20, until the higher value, that is 45, right? So I will show you the graph over here. Okay, so this is the cumulative frequency table that you have just now. So this is the table. Okay, you have the frequency. So this will be the stem and leaf. So you have the frequency over here, and then you have the variable that is pocket expenses. And then you have the frequency come from the variable. Okay, remember 20 and less than 25, that means 25 is not included, right? So that means you have to cut over here. Okay, so that's why you get 2, 3, 3, 5, 5, 2. So 2, 3, 3, 5, 5, 2. And then the cumulative 2, 5, 8, 13, 18, 20. Okay, from this you can come up with your graph. Where is the graph? So this is the, sorry, this one is the, this is not the graph. Okay, this will be graph. Where is the graph? Do they ask you to draw the graph? No, okay, sorry. You are only required to come up with the frequency table. Okay, so that is the cumulative frequency and you cumulative frequency table, frequency and cumulative frequency table. So this will be the answer. Okay, so that is for the ungrouped data set. And then the second part is the group data set where you have to calculate the mean and the standard deviation and so on. Okay, let me just clear the pictures over here. So I will clear this one first. So later, if you want to get this part, you can just look at the video that I will be posted later after the editing. Okay, let me just clear this so that is okay. Okay, give me a moment to clear everything so that we have a clean sheets over here. Okay. Okay, let's do this. Okay, the frequency distribution rate of 50 students is given below. So you have 40 and less than 45, 45 and less than 50. So okay, for the group data set here, you need to find the midpoint. So in order to find the midpoint, okay, just ignore the word in the middle and less than all those things. Okay, you just ignore that. So what you need to do right now, so this is already in the form of, you can just assume that this is in the form of class boundary, but actually it's not. It is in class limit because there is a gap between one class with another. But in order to calculate, to make it simple in terms of calculation, the midpoint, so you just need to take the upper and lower values and then divide it by 2. Okay, so in this case, for the first one, you're going to get the midpoint. Okay, for the midpoint, so this will be the x value, right? So the midpoint here will be 40 and 45. So that means you add them together, 95. So divided by 2, you get 42.5. So this will be 42.5. This will be 47.5, 52.5, 57.5, and then 62.5 and 67.5. Okay, the first one asks you to find the mean and the standard deviation. So you need to find the mean and the standard deviation. So in order to find the mean and the standard deviation, you need to find the value for fx and also for fx squared. And then at the bottom here, you need to find the summation for both of these, right? So you need to do this. So I give you the answer, and then we will do it one by one in order to get the summation value. I will show you on this side. Okay, let me just bring up the solution. Okay, so here you need to find the summation of fx and summation of fx squared. Okay, let's just remember. So here the value of fx, summation of fx 2600, and fx squared is 137362.5. Okay, so let's go back to this one. Okay, let me just bring up my calculator so that you can see how we perform the calculation, right? So hold on. Okay, I'm using the 991 ES calculator. Okay, I'm using the 991 ES calculator for this purpose. Okay, if you are using other calculator, you just let me know. Okay, we can just do that. If you are using, you can also look at my video in order to look at how you can use various calculators. So I've uploaded 3 videos on the use of calculator to calculate the mean and the standard deviation using the FX570MS, using the ES model, and also using the EX model. Okay, there are 3 models that I have uploaded in my video, so you can just look at which one that is which one that you are using. All right, so is it the EX, ES, or MS? All right, so let's see how we can do this. Okay, so let me just clear the this one first. Okay, here we want to perform a group data set. So if you're using the ES function, ES model, so what you need to do right now is to simply change this into a statistical mode. So what you need to do is just press the mode button. So you can see that number 3 you have stat. So choose number 3, and then you want the one variable number 1. So here is already in the frequency mode. Okay, it's already in the frequency mode. If you want to change back to the ungrouped data set without the frequency, or vice versa, you just need to do what you need to do is just simply press shift mode, then it gives you an option, and then you scroll down. So under here you have another one that is number 4, stat. So you choose number 4. So this is where you can toggle between the frequency and without the frequency. If you want the frequency to appear, then you click the on button. If you want to remove the frequency, so you just click on the number 2 that is off. So in this case, we are using the frequency, so number 1. Okay, so now you are within the data entry mode. If this doesn't appear in your data entry mode, let's say it doesn't come up through just directly like this. Okay, if it is blank, something like this, to bring up the data entry mode, just press shift number 1. Okay, so shift number 1 give you 1 is the type, this one is one variable type, and then shift number 2 is for the data entry mode. Okay, if you want to enter data, so here you want to enter data, so take number 2. So now you can enter data. So remember to enter your X value first, then the frequency. So X value is 42.5. To store, just press equal sign and then continue. 47.5 equal 52.5 equal 57.5 equal 62.5 equal, and lastly 67.5 equal. Okay, and then you want to enter the frequency, just move to the next column and then go to the first row. All right, so 8, 12, 15. So 8 equal 12 equal 15 equal, the same process. Okay, and then 9, 4, 2. So 9 equal 4 equal 2 equal. So now you have entered all the values into your calculator. You can just clear the screen. So to clear the screen, just click AC. Okay, just make it blank so that you can see everything. Okay, next what you need to do is to find the summation value, right? So you want the summation value. So shift number 1. So under shift number 1, you can see number 3 is sum. So this will give you all the summation value. So press number 3. So they give you an option. Number 1 is summation of x squared, and number 2 is summation of x. So you want summation of fx, so you have to choose number 2. So number 2, and then to activate the result, so just press equal sign. So you get 2600. So this is similar to our answer just now, 2600. Okay, so let's bring back, okay, our calculator, and for the second one, we want the summation of fx squared. So shift number 2, the number 1 again, and then number 3 for the sum, and then we choose number 1 for the summation of fx squared. So equal sign. So you get 137362.5. So let's check. 137362.5. So this is correct, right? So both are correct, and then n is equal to 50. Okay, so the next part is to write down the formula. So remember to write down formula. Don't just write the answer. You will not get the full mark. So you have to, the concept is that you write down the, okay, the summation value. This is first step. And then the second step, you write down the formula. The third step, you write down the substitution value. And then the fourth step is to find the answer. Okay, so but however, in this situation, since you are using your calculator, you don't need to calculate the result manually, especially for the standard deviation. So here you see that for mean you have equal to 52, and for standard deviation, okay, you have s squared. Okay, and then take the square root. So you substitute the values, you get 44.13265, and then for the standard deviation, you need to take the square root. So you have 6.6432. Okay, so how do you do that to get the answer? So let me just bring up my calculator again. So to get the answer for the mean, so shift number 1 again. So number 4 here give you the mean and the standard order variables. Okay, number 4 VAR refer to variables which are the which is the mean, standard deviation, and so on, right? So you choose number 4. So they give you the option. N is the number of data in your data set, and then you have x bar, the mean. You have sigma x. This is for the population standard deviation, and number 4 sx is for the sample standard deviation. So in our case, we are looking at the sample, right? So first we want to find the value of mean. So choose number 2. So equal sign. So you get it to be equal to 52, same as what our, with our answer just now, our solution. And then for the standard deviation, shift number 1 again, choose number 4, and then select number 4. So equal sign. So you get 6.6432, similar to our result here, 6.6432. Okay, so you have the answer. All right, so just bring up. Okay, the next one that you need to do is to perform and draw the histogram representing the above data on the same graph. Draw a frequency polygon. Okay, in order to find the frequency polygon, to draw the frequency polygon, you need the cumulative value. So the cumulative value will be 8, 20, and then 35, 44, 48, and 50. Okay, you will start with 0 from the previous class and then use the midpoint. Okay, how to do that? So let me just give you the answer for the histogram. Remember the histogram, you will be using the class boundary, okay, the class boundary as your indicator, okay, for the x-axis, right? So here you have your class boundary. Okay, we start with 40, 45, 50, 55, 60, 65, and 70. And then you draw for the first one is 8, the second one is 50, and then the next one, and so on. And for the polygon, what you just need to do is just simply take the value in the middle of the bar. Okay, just take the value in the middle of the bar, and then you connect the lines. Okay, connect the points like this. Okay, just use your, okay, and then for the last one, you just extend it to the middle or the midpoint of the previous class and the last class, and then just get the closed loops over there. Okay. All right. So this will be the histogram. So remember to write down the title and also the labels. Okay, you have the weight and the frequency. However, for the frequency, it is better not to use frequency, but use the correct variable given. So in this case, the variable given here is the width for the for the x-axis. Okay, and then this one, the frequency is actually the number of students, right? So that means here it is better to write down number of students instead of just writing as frequency. Okay, so that is for the second one. And then for the third one, they ask you, based on the histogram, determine the shape of the distribution. So okay, determine the shape of the distribution. So you can see that it is right skewed. Okay, so it's something like that, right? So it's something like this. So this is positive skewed or right skewed. So that's why you have right skewed over here. Okay, and the next question asks you to find the mod. Okay, find the mod value. So in order to find the mod value, the first thing that you need to do is to identify which class has the mod value. So to determine which class has the mod values, so just look at the frequency. The highest is 15, right? So that means the mod value will be somewhere between 50 to 55. And since this question asks you to calculate, okay, they ask you to calculate, so that means you have to use the formula. If they ask you to approximate, okay, if they ask you to approximate the model value, then you can approximate the model value from the graph without using the calculator, without using the formula. Okay, so using the formula, this is what you have. So using the formula, you already know that it will be in the third class, that is in this one. Okay, so the lower boundary is 50, so you have 50 over here, and then the difference between the mod class with the class before that, so 15 minus 12 you get 3. Okay, this one also 3, and then 15 minus 9 you get 6. Okay, and then the size of the class is 55 minus 50, you get 5. So calculate this one, you get 51.6667. Okay, if you are required to come up with what you call approximate value of the mod from the graph, what you need to do is just simply draw a line over here. Okay, let me just clear this one first. Okay, let me clear this one first. Also, it's already clear. All right, so if you want to draw estimate, so you just need to come up with the values over here. So you just draw a line to the diagonal of the highest bar and then find the values at the bottom. Okay, so this will give you the x hat approximate value of x bar. Okay, and also the question asks you to explain. So remember, whenever you want to explain the model value, you must have the word most. So here it says most person with a 51.7 kilograms. So they have the word most over here. Okay. All right. So that is for the fourth one. And then the last question asks you to make comparison. It says here, if a technician of lab A completes an average of 45 analysis with a variance of 25, and the technician lab B completes the average of 65 analysis with a standard deviation of 16. Find which technician is more consistent. So they want you to have a more consistent. Okay, more consistent. Okay, so in this case, you need to find the CV for A and also CV for B. And remember, to find the CV, it is simply the standard deviation divided by the mean, multiply with 100. For A, you have 45 analysis. This is the mean, okay? And the variance is 25. So remember, you have to use the standard deviation. So that means this is square root of 25 divided by 45 times 100. Okay, so bring up my calculator. So in this case, I have 5 divided by 45 times 100. So why 5? Because it's square root of 25. So calculate this one, you get 11.11. Okay, and for CV lab B, you have again S divided by X bar times 100. So this gives you the S, the standard deviation is 16. No need to take the square root because it's already in standard deviation. Divided by the mean is 85 and then multiply with 100. So calculate this one, you get 16 divided by 85 times 100. So you get this to be 18.82. Okay, 18.82. So the question wants a more consistent. So they want a more consistent. So if you want a more consistent distribution, so look at the lower CV. So in this case, technician of lab A has a more consistent work, okay, a more consistent work as compared to the technician in lab B. Okay, so that's it for the first part for your test 1. Okay, so it covers only until question number 2 for September 2013 past semester exam papers.